if you were to be focused exactly on what you want to achieve in life, if you're willing to start at the bottom, if you are going to be focused on your dreams, your aspirations, and on your goals, not worried about what your competitors are doing, that doesn't influence you. If you're willing to work really hard, work sincerely, as a good human being, so that means without treading on other people, if you are willing to stay focused uh, without letting numbers affect you, without going after numbers, if you're willing to stay humble in the midst of the most powerful people in the world, uh, and if you are gonna be full of dreams and aspirations, while at the same time being kind, being humble, as I said, what does that make you? That makes you a success story, and it makes you a great leader. Okay, and it shows straight of being a wonderful human being, and that's real, and that's not just coming out of textbooks, from leadership books or whatever. That's real. I say that because I'm going to introduce you today to somebody who is exactly that. Believe it or not, all of these leadership things and this being focused and having the great drive, it all is relevant not just for a CEO and for a startup entrepreneur or whatever. All of those things have led my guest today to be the third most popular chef in the world. Yep, I'll say that again. In the world. Having cooked for the likes of Obama, Donald Trump, Putin, and obviously for a whole of other world leaders, and also for superstars like Tom Cruise and Julia Roberts, and in India is a household name in Mr. Amitabh Bachchan's household. So this person has blown me away with his journey and his attitude. And recently I've been doing a lot of courses on leadership, and everything that I've been doing on this courses on leadership, I see in my guests. I'm talking to nobody else but the Bombay chef, Varun Inamdar. Let's talk. Hello, hello, hello. This is Tagore, and welcome to my podcast, A Pint of Imbecile Wisdom. This is the finale of season 3, and I'm thrilled beyond words to have the guest that I'm going to have, because we both share a common thing, which is our love for food. And I must say this in my introduction: while he has cooked for the likes of Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Putin, and many world leaders, I have actually cooked for some of the people who have voted these people into power. And while he's cooked for the likes of Tom Cruise and Julia Roberts, I have cooked for the people who go and buy tickets to watch these people on screen. So, given that, he is still the man, he is still the greatest achievements, and I am so thrilled that a common friend of ours has connected us, and I can talk to this wonderful guest, and you will know exactly why as you listen to the rest of the podcast. So, Chef Varun Inamdar, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You said we have one thing in common, which is the love for food. We actually have two things in common, which is a love for food and a love for Subi Samuel.
Debatable. I'm kidding. Debatable. But I do have him coming into one of the questions. So, Chef, you are somebody who has, and I'm not trying to exaggerate this, but you've got the biggest digital footprint for a chef coming from India or potentially from Asia. Okay, your digital footprint goes into the 700 millions, so to speak. So I don't think there's anybody second to that by a mile, if I can say that. How did it all start, and what were your origins really from? I know you're known as the Bombay chef, but I don't think you actually come from Bombay. So
I'm very much from Mumbai. I was born in Bombay and brought up in Mumbai. That's what I tell everyone.
So you are the Bombay chef. Yeah.
Yes, literally so, in all its truest senses. I would like to believe that there is no second from Asia, and I take that all with a pinch of salt because I never take all these, these kind of appellations and adulations too seriously because otherwise, the day it goes in my head, I'll forget how to even slice an onion. So I just keep it at bay as much as I can. But yeah, it all started purely because there was somebody who came with this whole novel concept that I could not speak English. And I looked at him, with a very, very, very stern look, asking for any other reason but this. Because having served some of the topmost dignitaries on this planet, I definitely know my languages well. I can speak English, I can speak Hindi, I can speak Marathi, I can speak Gujarati, I understand French, I understand German. So languages have always been my forte. So I looked at the person, I told him, you can give me any example or any other reason except this. So that's how the internet happened. It purely happened out of that whole vigor to put things out, but never with the intent of, oh, these many people would love me or these many people would view it. There was no marketing gimmick attached to it. It was purely the love for food, nothing else.
Okay, but you didn't start off like a typical chefs that we know today. Your beginnings were not from that sort of a background. Tell me about how it all started.
So I wanted to always do this. There was no plan B. There was
Oh,
no plan for monsoon. I always wanted to be doing something in the kitchen. I wouldn't say I wanted to be a chef. I wanted to do something in the kitchen. Kitchens have always been my dream. So I was 8 years old when I told my father I wanted to do hotel management. So he looked at me and he asked me where I picked these big words from, because hotel management is a big word for a middle class family. So then I told him, I kind of follow a American Chinese chef on the television, and his name is Chef Martin Yan. So I used to follow
yeah,
him,
yeah.
and that's how my love for food kind of just kept multiplying by leaps and bounds. And the day I finished my 10 plus 2, I took my results and I went to my father directly. And I told him I wanted to do hotel management. So he was very clear that I wanted to do this only or nothing else. So he took me to a college and he got me enrolled. Now I just turned 17 that year. And I wanted to buy a book called Larousse. It's literally a chef's Bible. So I went to the library, I checked for the rates and all of that. It was 7,000 Indian rupees, which was too much 20 years back.
Yeah.
So I was of a very clear, noble intent of not getting beaten in the house, asking for 7,000 rupees. So I started working. I tried to look for jobs, but because I was kind of 17 and a half and just a quarter towards 18, he told me, the day you turn 18, come back to me. Currently, there's nothing for you. So the day I turned 18, I went to the restaurant again and I said, you had called me. So he said, for? So I said, you said the day you turn 18, come and look for a job. So he said, ha, kuch nahi hai. There's nothing. So I said, no, but I want to work. So he said, the only job available for you at this point in time is at the dishwasher. If you can take it up, good for you. If no, that's the door. So I said, I'll take it up. Paisa kitna dega? How much will you pay me? So he said, we'll give you 500 rupees. So I said, per day. So he looked at me and he said, a month. So I did my calculation. I said, continue working like that, I'll have to work for some 14, 15 months to figure out 7,000 rupees. So that's how my journey as a dishwasher literally began, in a very humble restaurant in Bandra in Mumbai.
And you stuck it out until you made the 7,500 rupees?
I stuck out for a slightly longer time because I didn't want to feel impish about the whole thing. I didn't want to feel silly and sly. Acha, isne 7,000 bana liya, he's out. So I worked a little longer just to kind of make my mind happy, and then I quit. And then, of course, opportunities kept coming. So I kept jumping the ladder. Then JW Marriott happened, then ITC Maratha happened, then Leela happened, then finally the Oberoi Group happened.
So which was the first gig that happened that took you from a dishwasher to doing something else in the kitchen?
Okay, so this is very interesting. I was actually at the dishwash for quite a substantial amount of time till one day this gentleman called Jackie Shroff walked
Yeah,
into the
the
restaurant,
actor.
the actor. So he walked into the restaurant, and the day he walked in, there was nobody at the cooking range. And this was very interesting because they were all kind of running helter skelter. Okay, Jackie, aaya, Jackie, aaya, Jackie. Aaya. That's how we talk in
Yeah,
first name context.
yeah.
And they all kept running here and there till one fine hour they suddenly landed on me and said, "Tu banayega kya?" So I said, "Ha, banayega." so, so that's how I actually started cooking in that restaurant. And the dish was a fondue where you
Oh,
have this molten cheese and you dip in pieces of bread and gherkins and onions and
yeah.
things like that. So that's how this all started, and it's quite an art. You can't get a fondue right in its first attempt. But my idea was very clear. I used to sit at the pot wash and I used to set the angle of the vessel and I used to keep scrubbing and I used to keep looking at everybody else in the kitchen. So, it became a very easy thing for me because I used to sit in one place and I used to just keep observing who's adding what, who's doing what, what's happening after what, and things like that. And I cracked the fondue in the first attempt and it went to Dada, as we call him. And he looked at the steward and he said, "Kisne banaya?" So he said, "Naya ladka hai. Bahar bula usko. Call him
It's,
out."
it's a new guy. Bring him
So
out.
I
Okay.
So yeah, so I went out and I stood in front of him, and he's this tall, towering man
Yeah.
who comes close to me and he hugs me and he said, "अच्छा बना है, शक्ल से मोरी वाला दिखता नहीं है."
So it's a good dish. Okay. Wow.
So, so, so I started laughing and I said, actually, I'm from Risby College and it's just a few blocks away, and I come here because I want to make some petty cash. So he looked up to me and he said, "Kitna?"
How
So I
much?
said, "7,000." How much? So, that's how he speaks. He has this Mumbai lingo
Yeah.
attached onto him. So he said, "Kitna? How much?" So I said, 7,000 rupees. I want to buy a book. So sweet of him. He tipped 7,000 rupees at the table and he left.
Wow.
And I don't think his bill would have costed more than 1,000 or something that time. For four of them that had their meal there because they were just there for a conversation. And he tipped 7,000 rupees and he left. So the steward came to me and he said, "This will get distributed amongst everyone." So I said, "Whatever you all think is right, you all do it." Because 7,000 is a big amount for an individual to take home for a night. But he was very sweet because he had written a note on the envelope and he said, "This is only for you." And he had tipped the steward separately.
Oh,
So
wow.
very sweet of him, very sweet of him. But I kept the envelope. I did not use it till I met him another day. And the day someone came and told me again that this man is here, I went to his table and I gave the envelope back to him and I told him, I'm not looking at such a hefty amount. I'll work my way up. So he said, "Pagal mat ban. Don't be a moron. You'll take a year and a half to make that kind of money considering the pay package that you have." so, so he said, "Buy the book, come home. This is my address. This is my telephone number. Give me a call. Show me that you've taken the book. This money is not for you. This money is sent. This money is spent on your education, not on you."
Wow.
So very sweet of him. I bought the book. I went to his house. I sat with him. I had this interaction for barely three and a half minutes because I don't know if you know him or if you've ever seen him on a personal note, but he sits like this with his head down at one angle and he barely looks up. So he's constantly like this, and you're talking from this side, and he looks and he says, "Done? Okay. See you sometime soon." And I was like, "Okay." So I took the book, I left. And after that, the sweetness of the man that he always kept in touch. He
Yeah.
always kept inquiring about, our good health and things like that. So yeah, he's always been in touch since then, which is very kind of him actually.
So did you then go to college to pursue your hotel management? I mean, or have you had any academic qualifications to become the chef that you are today?
So, I was doing that simultaneously because I was in a hotel school and I wanted to make some petty cash. So that's how this whole thing started. So I
Yeah.
was already working, or I was already kind of pursuing the education professionally from a hotel school. So yeah, that was parallelly happening.
This sounds very nice as a story, but in reality, what were some of the tough things that you were going through? Did you ever feel like giving up? Were the days when you just couldn't hack it? How did that happen?
See, that's one thing that I would possibly take in my stride. I have never been bored in the last 20 years of my professional career. Nor have I ever felt of giving up. Life has thrown several opportunities. A lot of friends have walked over, a lot of professional colleagues have walked over. Some people have kind of squeezed the last drop of juice that you could offer and have walked over. So that's also happened professionally and personally. But one thing that I would possibly take in our stride is that I've never given up.
Okay.
I've always I've always been somebody who believes in serendipity. Whatever happens, happens for good. People come and go for a reason. So I always take it like that and I move forward.
Okay. So, you know what? I have been following you for at least about 2 or 3 years now. Okay. And I've stolen a lot of your dishes and made them mine. And then when people who know me so well say it can't be, then I go, okay, there's this guy called Varun Inamdar, and and so forth. But one thing I noticed about you, having followed so many chefs, like from the Gordon Ramsays, Jamie Olivers to a whole bunch of other people, including in India, there's one thing that strikes me about you is that you're very humble, you're very sincere, and you break it down even for idiots like me. Is that a conscious thing that you do, or is that just how you are as a person? Because I see a lot of passion in you coming
See,
out.
I think that purely comes very organically to me. I have never tried efforts of simplifying something or making something easier for the world. I think that's just the way I am. That's the way I cook. That's the way I like my recipes to be. Because if you see my recipes and if you follow me closely, you will see that I don't use a lot of ingredients.
Yes.
Like if a recipe calls for red chili powder, I will never use red chili paste because I am of a very clear opinion that humble homes do not have red chili paste in their pantries, right? So if you say 1 teaspoon of red chili paste, a common man in the kitchen would think, oh, how many chilies to grind? What's the process of getting to the paste? Do we have to sieve the seeds off? Do we have to keep the seeds? And proprietary mixes, again, are something that I do not use so much. I would never use a red chili paste of a bottle or a ginger garlic paste of a squeeze cap. So I keep my recipes simple. I keep them minimalistic. And a lot of people actually think, Acha, itna hi? Only so much?
Yeah.
Let's try. Oh, you should have added ginger garlic paste to it. Oh, you should have added coriander powder to it. Oh, you should have added, cloves to it. So I'm of a very clear opinion that if certain things take this much, then so be it. Let's not complicate things for each other. So it has never been a conscious effort. I think it's just the way organically I think and believe.
And what I love about the way you cook is that you actually break it down into segments. So if you're doing something, you say, first let's do this, then let's get to this, then let's get, and it makes it simpler even for a dumb person like me. But there's an overflow of passion coming up from you, from your videos and the way you interact with your audience. Is the passion for food, or is the passion for the fact that you're enabling people like myself to have the guts to go and make the dish themselves? What is the passion really about?
See, I think deep within, I've always been a teacher. I've always wanted to, impart whatever a little I know and things like that. I am also a very ardent learner. So, despite working for the last 20 years professionally, I still read culinary books. I know what's happening in the industry. I keep a tab on, what's happening. Having said all of that, I do not follow anybody. So if you see my social media accounts, I don't follow anyone because I want to be busy with what I am doing. I want to be consumed with what I want to do. I don't want to be bothered and cowed down about, oh, this one has done this, or this one has collaborated with this one, or this one has got this opportunity, so we should also get this opportunity. So there's never this sword hanging on my head. So I'm always free in my mind. I'm not bowed down upon, oh, this university is doing this, or this chef has got this opportunity.
Yeah.
I've never cared. And I don't even care, and I don't even want to care, because that just keeps you sane. But my wife and I live alone in the house. So we don't have a third person to speak with. So through the pandemic also, you would have believed that the two of us were just two of us speaking with the two of us. So it was like that, but being consumed about, oh, this opportunity, that opportunity, this, that, blah, blah, would have consumed us, would have eaten us up from within. Having said all of that, we were the busiest in the pandemic. Today, if you ask us what we did for 2 years, how we sailed through, I do not remember, because we were working every day, either on some research project or on some food styling assignment or on some videos or on some cookbook or on some, branding affiliation. So it's like that. So consciously, I've never thought about what I want to do. I think it's just the organic way of even spelling the recipes out. Now, if you think about it, I always say let's break it up into components. Breaking up into components has also become a big thing on the internet, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry now is breaking recipes into different components.
Correct.
So, people copy, people say they get inspired, but there's nothing called inspiration, I feel. You're copying it outright. So,
but I see I see a sincerity in the way you actually talk about this. And I'm not surprised, which brings me to my second point, that your digital footprint is gigantic. It is huge. It's like your butter chicken, for example, recipe alone has like 39 million views for one recipe.
yes.
And
Yes.
that's phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal. And as you said earlier on, some of the things that you've been talking about, like the dishwasher, the Jackie Shroff story, how you stay focused, you never gave up, you don't care about. I mean, these are traits of real leadership. I've been doing a lot of leadership in the past couple of years as well. I mean, absorbing leadership courses, and these are traits of a great leader. I mean, it's just textbook material, really. But
I think that's very sweet of you.
no, it's true. It's true. But coming back to your footprint and how you influence, and this is where you're going to have a laugh, but I'm being very serious, Chef. Notice no smoke on my face. I have known a caveman called Subi Samuel. And since 2007 till now, when I come to Bombay, my house is at his residence. Okay. And I have never known Subi to go into the kitchen except to get me a glass of water, maybe at the most. And again, no smirk. Okay. And I absolutely love the fact that I can call him a caveman as part of my podcast. He's gonna kill me. But during the pandemic, when we were talking, he said, I'm making chicken kafrial. And I was like, Subi Samuel in the kitchen? That too with a wife who cooks really well. I said, what are you talking about? He said, there's this guy called Varun Inamdar, and I've been following him. And next thing I know, he's done chicken kafrial. The next thing he's got another, and Subi's cooking. And as I said, I have known Subi since 2006. He is not the type of man who would go into the kitchen. Okay? But you've actually changed that. This is the influence that you've had on people. And I think in so many ways, it has helped people in their relationships. I'm not saying Subi, but just
That's actually very sweet of you to have said that. And I believe Subi being the caveman, because I live under the rock most of the time. So I think that's one of the reasons why I think we gel well. But having said that, I get stopped by so many people across the globe, across airports, across public places, where they stop. They do not even know my name, most of them. They do not even speak English. But the whole point is, they want to speak so much. They want to talk to you so much. They want to tell you so much about, how we've added so much value to their lives through, good food. And most of them have not been cooks. They've not entered the kitchen ever. But they've started experimenting with, these little recipes in the kitchen. And I think that makes me feel proud time and again.
Of course, you should be. So just staying on the digital footprint, you started off with Rajshri Foods, then you went to the Bombay Chef, and now you got your own channel, Varun Inamdar. So where is it all going at the moment? What's the focus on it? I mean, you are known as the Bombay Chef. I mean, that's... So how's that working out?
See, that's an appellation that kind of stuck to me or latched onto me very organically. There was no play in it. There was no marketing gimmick attached to it. We just wanted to name the show something. And we thought this had a very nice ring to it. Why Bombay? Because Bombay is all about emotion. A lot of people ask me this question, why not Mumbai? And then I always tell people that, I was born in a city called Bombay. Eventually, when the name changed, very organically, we transcended into that world. People of the opinion that, but before that, it was Mumbai. but we all have our own little play of words and things like that. But Mumbai, Bombay, Mumbai, whatever it is, it's a city that we love the most in the world. And digital footprints, which you keep asking again and again, we had never calibrated this, because I was working in a space which was before the age of the essentials. We were not in the area of internet being all over the space, and we were before mobile services became quite a vogue that they are today.
Yeah.
So we started this very organically. We thought we'll start something, let's see where it goes, let's see how it goes. We also thought we'll make some petty cash in the bargain. So that's how this all started, till we realized that recipes like a butter chicken, or recipes like a pav bhaji, or a chicken biryani, or a tandoori chicken catapulted us into a very different zone, which was very interesting, because suddenly we started understanding what this 1 million means. Because I remember I put up this recipe of a pav bhaji on one of my channels, and in 12 hours, it touched a number called 5 million. And we had no clue what this 5 million means, because Indians, as we are, we do not calculate in millions. We understand thousands, lakhs, and crores. We don't understand the million game. So I took a little while to understand that, okay, 10 lakhs is a million. So 50 lakh people watching it gets you 5 million. So that's how, we took time to understand. After that recipe of the pav bhaji that went on, every recipe of mine has been out of the park. All of them have started touching a million, which became phenomenal. So, that's how this number game just kept getting better and better and better, till one day we did this whole charting, and we realized that I'm number 3 in the world. So yeah,
Wow.
it was never calibrated to succeed. It
And
was
you said,
always an organic path that we took.
in the world, not even in Asia. It's in the
The
world.
world.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
So Jamie Oliver being number 1, Gordon Ramsay being number 2, and Varun Inamdar being number 3. So this sounds unreal, but that's what it is.
That's why, coming back to my next point, is why you cook for the likes of Obama, Donald Trump, Putin, and even people like Tom Cruise. And I heard a rumor that Tom Cruise actually demands that you cook for him when he comes to India. Is that true?
Could be. See, if somebody's spoken about it, that means it would be true.
Let's live with that. And it wasn't my gossip box Subi Samuel, by the way. It was somebody else legit. That's the same.
So I'll tell you. So I literally live in 4 different worlds, in 4 parallel universes, because people in my food styling world do not know what I do otherwise. People who know me as a chef do not know that I'm also a chocolatier. People who know that I work on the internet and the television do not know that I cook these personal private meals for the who's who in the world, because they're all different worlds that I believe in, right? Now, all this cooking for the stars and celebrities and dignitaries and all of that, as people may want to believe that it's because of the popularity of Varun Inamdar on social media, it has got nothing to do with that, because I was cooking for all of these before that. So I've been cooking for all these dignitaries on the planet since 2007. And the internet sensation that a lot of people write today is all thanks to 2012 and beyond.
Okay.
So, a lot of people may believe it otherwise, but the reality stays.
Which of those 4 worlds do you enjoy the most?
Which of the, sorry?
Which of those 4 worlds do you, the chocolatier, the cooking for celebrities, the internet, chef, which one, you're a human being at the end of the day. I'm not asking you to choose a...
See, I wouldn't be able to pin it like that, because, they all have their own charm. When I'm working with my makeup on in a food studio, I believe that I am the best chef who can ever teach.
Wow.
And that's why I do what I do on that day.
Okay.
The next day, I may be food styling in another food studio with no makeup on, with literally a black t-shirt and denim and boots. And people do not know that it's the same Varun Inamdar who wears his makeups on and, is under spotlights and arc lights.
Yeah.
So they're 2 different worlds for me. When I'm cooking for the likes of, the Obamas and the Trumps and Mr. Bachchan and Khans and Kapoors and the likes, I don't think Mr. Bachchan has ever watched me on television. I would want to believe that. I do not
No,
know if
I think you're
no.
being modest. I think you're being modest.
I don't know. See, till he comes and tells me that Varun, I'm a huge fan of yours, I wouldn't believe it. So, so, so I believe that he does not know that this man could also be a celebrated name on television or the internet. Because when I go and meet them, I do not introduce myself like that. I just go and say, "Sir, what would you like to eat? What is it that I can make for you? What is it that you're craving for today?" Now that I cook for them so much, I do not ask them for the allergies. Otherwise, the next organic question is, "Are you allergic to anything? What can I make for you?" So that's how it is. It has been organically. And like I said, I believe that I work in these four parallel universes without, mixing them up, because I'm also on board of a lot of companies in India and otherwise on their R&D mission. R&D is research and development.
Yeah.
So a lot of products in the retail space that you literally see on the shelves today are my creations.
Wow.
But I do not go and put my signatures on them. I look at them, quietly smile at the packages. I sometimes just turn, read the labels, read the packages. If they're perfect and they titch, I keep it back and I walk out. Till somebody comes and says, "Oh, you must try that. That is very good."
Okay, so before I come to Mr.
Like that.
Bachchan, yeah, you cook for all of these world leaders like Obama and so forth.
Yes.
Any highlight moment you want to share for
Oh my
anybody,
God.
for any one of these people? What was Obama like, and what did he cook for him?
I think he is one of the most amazing human beings I have ever come across.
Really,
He
wow.
is Barack Obama for a reason. People know him as the President of United States of America. I know him as Barack. So, that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, of course.
When he came into the kitchen for the first time, he walked in through the kitchen and he had to move to the banqueting arena because of security issues, and we could not get him through the podium and the lobby and things like that. So we had categorized a completely different entry and exit plan for him. Having said all of that, because I was not this high-ranking official at that point in time, I was still kind of middle order. The job of a middle order ranking officer is to do all the labor work and then disappear in thin clouds, because then the bosses take over. so, so that was what was destined for me as well. But I wanted to see the man. I was of a very clear opinion that I want to see him at least once. If I've cooked so much for him, I want to see him at least. I don't want to meet him. I just want to see him. So, despite the Force One security and our hotel security, and despite my bosses being so much on our head, I stood and hid inside a service bar. And with two of my colleagues who also said, "Hey, mere ko bhi dekhna. Even I want to see." So I said, "Come, but because of you, I may get thrown out. So just be quiet and stand next to me." So we were three of us standing in the service bar between beer boxes. And there comes the man walking with this towering, huge personality, with Michelle on one side and with the president of our hotel on the other side. And he comes like a few feet away and he looks through the boxes and he says, "Come out." And I thought I lost my job. I thought that was the end of Varun Inamdar in this hotel. And for the most rightful reasons, even if somebody throws me out for breach of security, nobody's going to make, me stand ever in the hospitality industry, because that's a huge tag that you come with. So the moment I came out of the bar, he took his arm around my shoulder and he said, "You seem to be a chef. What have you cooked for me?" So I said, "Sir, I'll show you around. Come." I just took a chance because I knew that this opportunity is never going to come back. So I took this chance. I took him around the entire venue and I showed him, all the things that were prepared for him. So this is level 2 of breach. Now comes level 3. His next question, Varun, if given a chance, what is that one thing that you would give me? So I took a piece of chocolate and I put it straight in his mouth.
No way.
So this is level 3. So he ate the whole damn chocolate. He looked at Michelle and he said, "You are coming and learning this tomorrow." Chef, is that comfortable with you? I said, absolutely. So I said, absolutely. जैसे कि मेरे बाप का होटल है.
Yeah.
but but what we don't realize is, there's a whole protocol that needs to be taken care of. There's this cleaning, sanitization. Somebody of the likes of Michelle Obama walking into the back area of a hotel and then walking into the bakery pastry is huge. Is huge. It's unsurmountable. You can't even imagine these things. I'm lucky that possibly she forgot about it and she never came back to the kitchen. But I got almost borderline fired on the next day because I was called in the office by one of my bosses to just kind of blow the starlights out of my head. And luckily, at that point in time, a fax came in from White House, which said, it was wonderful to stay, beautiful hospitality and wonderful people. We love Indians and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And right towards the end, almost like a footnote, it read, please wish Varun Inamdar all the successes from the Obamas. He was wonderful. And this was read out to me by one of my bosses. And he said, Bach gaya tu is baar. Like, you're saved this time. And that's how life moved on. So this was 2007. 2010 is when the man walks in again. He came in to commemorate the war heroes, the terrorist attack that happened in 2008. He came to commemorate the war heroes. And my bosses were of a very clear opinion that I should go in hiding. I should not be seen anywhere around for all the faux pas that I had done in the previous few years. And I finished everything. I did all the planning meticulously and all of that. And I disappeared. I went for a little chai break. And suddenly from all 4 or 5 corners, I could see people running towards me, charging literally and calling for me and saying, Jaldi chal, tere ko bulaya, tere ko bulaya, tere ko bulaya. Like, come fast, you've been called. And I said, listen, I don't want to. There was a big issue that happened last time. This time I don't want to. So apparently what had happened is, as soon as the Obamas walked in, they turned to one of these high-ranking officers in the hotel and he asked, Varun Inamdar still works here? Would love to meet him.
Wow.
So that, in a lot of ways, that one statement and people looking for me all over the corners of the hotel, I think changed my career. It just changed my career graph and it went into a completely different positive spin. So sometimes these one statements and they don't even realize how much value they add to somebody else. But I think that one statement just made me Varun Inamdar. And that time I remember he asked me, would you like to come to the US? Would you like to cook for us at the White House? So I said, no, sir, I think I'm happy with what I'm doing. So he said, Varun Inamdar not moving to the White House is surely America's loss.
Wow.
So that one statement and this other statement, I think they will stay with me forever.
That was a game changer for you. So before I come to Indian cooking, now we know, and you can see on the back of my wall, I'm a big Bachchan fan. We know so much about that man. Reveal to us, what is Bachchan's food palette like?
So he's a vegetarian. See, he loves eating everything. I wouldn't want to get too much in detail, but just if I could scratch the surface with what he would love to eat, he's a dal chawal fan. You give him dal chawal, bhindi ki sabzi, and a little bowl of curd. He's the happiest man on the planet.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Amazing. Okay, so
and I'm a huge Bachchan fan too, just to add to it. So for me cooking for the man, I can see that.
And these are clicked by Subi Samuel. So Subi has a standing order. If he ever clicks a photo of Mr. Bachchan, he has to send me the photograph. Doesn't matter how big the file is, and I'll just print it out and I get it out there.
How nice.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I'm friends with Subi, by the way, but don't tell him I said that. So let's come to a little bit about now cooking itself, Indian cuisine. Okay, now there are 2 scenarios I'm going to give you. This, a young Indian boy or a girl gone abroad for studies or for their first job, missing home-cooked food, missing Indian food. And there are perhaps non-Indian, like I have a lot of non-Indian friends who love Indian food, but they don't know what to buy in terms of Indian spices. What would be some of the basic ingredients that make up simple Indian food?
See, Indian food actually is very complicated because it has 29 major cuisines, 29, 30 major cuisines, and it has more than 1,000 micro cuisines because every state has its own little hamlets, its own little cities, its own little towns, which all have their own specialties. They all have their own little cuisines. I call them the micro regional cuisines.
Okay.
When you say Indian cuisine, there is nothing like that because you cannot encapsulate such large cuisines and make one master cuisine. So, even recruitment wise, when a lot of people come and ask me, oh, I'm an Indian chef. So I look at him and I said, yeah, but what in Indian do you cook? Because 99% of the time, they all know dhaba food
Yeah.
or a Punjabi restaurant food, which is so popular internationally. But if I can just encapsulate everything and look at the popular Indian delicacies, ghee is a must.
Ghee.
We must have it.
Okay.
Ghee or clarified butter, as we say,
Yep.
important. Clarified butter, of course, is different. Ghee is different, but for the uninitiated, I think it's a common ground. So ghee is very important. Choice of oil again makes a lot of difference because mustard oil, sesame oil, groundnut oil, sunflower oil, soya oil, coconut oil, they all have their own charm. So depending on what you want to kind of focus on, very important. Curry leaves are very important because a lot of recipes are in a lot of way incomplete without curry leaves. Mustard seeds, cumin seeds, red chili powder, turmeric powder, coriander powder, garam masala powder. These are very important spices. Salt again. Salt internationally is very different. Salt in this country is very different. Salt plays a big role. A lot of these little micro cuisines in India also use sugar. Like Bengali food uses a little bit of sugar. Gujarati food uses sugar. Maharashtrian Brahmin food uses sugar. So sugar is also very important. Some people replace it with jaggery, but so be it. But these are, I think, the top 10, 12 things that come to my mind. Again, ginger and garlic paste. To me, I've always used fresh ginger and garlic. So more of garlic, less of ginger, but again, very important. Coriander leaves. I think a lot of recipes are incomplete without coriander leaves and green chilies. So I think these are these little 10, 12 things that I think if you want to make basic Indian food, should always be part of your pantry. Then you throw in some rice and lentils and vegetables and meat. That's all level two. But I think this forms the foundation.
I think you've probably scared that little teenager or the young adult who's gone abroad and is missing food with so many
Not
ingredients.
really, because if you walk into any Asian pantry or you walk into any Indian pantry across the globe, you will find these 10, 12 basic things.
Correct. I agree.
So
Yeah.
there's nothing out of the box. It's just as basic as, what an Italian food would use olive oil, garlic, or basil, or tomatoes, or Parmesan cheese, or things like that. So, like how you have these kitchen essentials, these are Indian kitchen essentials.
Okay, let's imagine a scenario. I'm going to take you away from the whole world that you know, including your lovely wife and your crew and everyone. I'm going to drop you on an island just by yourself. And you're going to have a week there to think clearly what you want to do in your life and everything. You're allowed to take just maybe a handful of ingredients with you. There's a kitchen there. What would you take? What are the core things that you cannot live without as a chef?
See, I think any form of good oil is something that I would take with me. Salt is something that I would take with me because I love adding a little salt in everything. Now, if it's an island and if I'm around an ocean, of course, there's salted water. So salt could be kind of, on a very sticky ground because I could just splash a little water to make things salty in proportions, of course. But oil is something that's very important to me. A basic masala dabba or a spice box, like how we call it in India. I think that is something I would take. Potatoes. I can't live without. I love potatoes in all forms.
Really?
Whether
Wow.
I love. My biryani would have a potato. Chicken curry would have a potato. Egg curry would have a potato. Even if you're making something like a scrambled egg, I would love my hash browns. So, these are these little basics that I would love to have with me. So oil for sure. And if I'm in an ocean, then I would, of course, go fishing and sea hunting, to say the
Okay,
least.
I'm going to ask you a trick question. I'll tell you why later. You can cook for one person in the whole world, in the whole universe.
Okay.
One person. As you
I
chef.
think that would be my wife.
Trick question and you passed it. Well done.
I don't think it was a tricky question. I think it was very, very, very clear. I think I'm very clear in a lot of ways about my choices, and I think my wife comes organically on top of the list. So
Wow,
yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah, the rumor in my household is that my wife only married me because I cook, and I'm happy to live with that. It's okay. I have no qualm because our friends say, "What does she see in you?" And I go like, "Have you tasted my food yet?" There you go. So that's interesting. All right, I'm going to give you a little bit of a scenario where I just want to annoy somebody else. So I'm out on a date with either say Sushmita Sen or Chitrangara Singh or Salma Hayek. You're in the kitchen. You're not allowed to come out. You're going to cook a meal, and what I want you to think about is what would you cook for your wife if it was a special night? But you're cooking this for me and my special date. I have a butler called Firoz Ahmed, who incidentally is my brother, and he's not a good butler, but I just want him to know that I'm having a date with this wonderful woman and he's not. What would that special meal be? Let's just say in a scenario like that. In context, what's the special thing that you would cook for your wife? Which I could share with
See, I
Salma
think
and Sushmita Sen.
I think for all of you in picture, and there's one thing that you should also know and understand, that I do not discriminate. I'm very clear when it comes to a Shushmita Sen versus a you sitting at the same table. It's not that she gets more attention, because I think that's what keeps me sane as well. And I don't get starstruck. So that's another beautiful quality about me. So whether I'm cooking for a street urchin or I'm cooking for the princely states, I see them all with the same eye. Of course, some people do not see it with the same eye. But what I would like to cook, and to get the long story short, is a nice mutton biryani.
Wow.
I don't know the choices that a Chitrangana would have, but if I am of the belief that all of you love goat meat, I think a nice mutton biryani is something that I would love to cook for all of you.
Just for the record,
Keeping
by
it
the way,
all.
I'm not starstruck. I don't see these women as stars. I'm just dating them, just for the record. Okay. I had to throw that in. Okay, Chef Varun, I mean, it's been so great talking to you, but I have to ask you this question. What's next? Say we were to talk in about 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. What's next? What are your aspirations? Someone like you would also still have aspirations.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. People actually feel and believe that, oh, he's worked for 20 years, he's worked with the who's who, he's got two national awards, he's done a Guinness World Record and things like that. And, if you think about it and believe that, that looks like a lifetime of achievements. But I'm 38, and touch wood, I've got decades to work ahead. And dreams and aspirations are always there. I would love to get into the education space at some point in time. I would love to get, when I say education space, of course, the internet is there, but I'm talking about a three-dimensional model somewhere on the face of this planet. So that's one. I would love to get into retail at some point in time with my spices and sauce mixes and things like that on the retail shelf. So yeah, these are these two organic things that I think I can think of right away. And I anyway write a lot of cookbooks, so organically that's also going to be the way forward. And at some point in time, I would also like to be known as a hotelier.
I was just
So,
about to say, have you ever thought about opening up a restaurant?
see, restaurant is one and hotels is another one. So,
Yeah.
restaurants, I've helped a lot of my friends open restaurants and made them restaurateurs. But I'm looking at the next level. I'm looking at having a own hotel. So that's quite a level change. So restaurateur versus a hotelier, I would always love to be a hotelier more than a restaurateur, because I
Okay,
love the number game there as well.
I don't do this often. I'm from Goa, so if you want to open up a hotel in Goa, I'm your man. I know a photographer in Bombay who can come and do free photographs for us, and also knows
Superb. I think we have a game plan in mind. Let's meet and discuss. Enough of this virtual reality.
But when I traveled to India very recently after about 6 years, and one of the things that I wanted to do was buy a Varun Inamdar cookbook.
How
And
nice.
I wasn't in Bombay or even in India for that long, so I never got round to it. But on the last day that I left, I remember I said, "No, I actually prefer interacting with Varun on his videos. I feel that I feel that you're there with me in the kitchen. I feel that you're making it more simpler for me. And maybe I'm just masking it because I hate reading. I hate reading a book. Every book I wanted to read, they made it into a film. I'm one of those
Uh-huh.
guys, so so yeah, but it would be good to be able to actually see some sort of educational thing. I think what you're doing is fantastic. I think you've already brought a lot of dinosaurs, Subi Samuel, out of the comfort zones and into the kitchens, And I have always shied away from making biryanis because I'm too paranoid. I used to watch my mom making biryanis, and she used to make fantastic biryanis, but I've never been able. It seemed too complicated. And then I watched your videos, and I've made 6 of your biryanis so far without even sweating it out because you make it so simple. I wish you all the best of luck. My
Thank
last
you.
question, my last question to you. There's somebody out there in my audience who's at that crossroads of not sure whether they want to go into hospitality, whether they want to pursue their dreams, be it being a chef or not. What was the one message you would give to them, and more importantly, to their parents?
See, one thing is very clear. It's not an easy job because one, you're playing with people's palates as a chef. Food again is a very subjective topic. You may like it, I may not like it. You may find it salty, I may find it bland. You may find it sweeter, I may still find it not so sweet. Food is very, very, very subjective as a topic. Pleasing people unanimously is very difficult. As a chef, that's a prerequisite. So we need to understand that if there's a event for say 50 people, what is the kind of number that you're looking at? 45 people happy, 5 people complaining. My issue is, why are those 5 people even complaining? Right? So for me, they are more important because I know that they are easily managed. And I always say that an irate customer or an irate guest is always easier to manage than a happy customer coming again. Because a happy customer comes with a prerequisite. He comes with a notion that the food here is fantastic. So the chances of him feeling disgusted or him not feeling very happy are higher. So for parents and for students alike, we need to understand that we are playing a lot with people's minds as much as we are playing with palates. You need to be focused. It's not that, the norm in India is, oh, you've got less marks, do hotel management.
Yeah.
That's not the case. And that shouldn't be the case. And I think as hotel schools or as hotel management institutes, that the first thing that needs to be arrested, that's the first thing that needs to be cut off, is the marking system. I think the moment you say, oh, we take only students above 75%, you know that you will get that kind of a student belt, right? So that is again important for students, parents, teachers, and all to understand. But what I want to tell the parents categorically is, do not tell a child to become either a doctor or an engineer only, because the world has far more noble professions also.
Absolutely.
So think of it with an open mind. Think of it that the child is going to actually start flying, because this industry is not just restaurants and hotels in a city or in a country. The world has this industry open. There's aviation attached to it. There's the cruise liners that are attached to it, the hospitals attached to it, the catering units, retail. So there's a huge belt of opportunities in this industry and this space. So look at it like that and come here with a very, very, very open mind with the willingness to work. That's important. Don't just think it'll all happen. Nothing happens organically.
It doesn't. Varun, it's been so amazing talking to you. Thank you so much for talking to me. This is my season finale, and I couldn't think of a better guest to have on my season finale, like yourself. And I'm telling you, it just happened by accident. I was in Mumbai having lunch with Subi and Bina, and Bina asked me, how's the cooking coming along? I said, yeah, there's this guy called Varun, and they both looked at each other and cracked up. And I said, what's funny? And Subi said, he's a good friend.
Yeah.
Like, really? And Subi said to me, do you want to podcast him? And I'm with Subi, I'm very pricey. I never give Subi any of the respect he deserves. So I said, I'll think about it. If anybody else had to offer that to me, I would have said, yes, it's Subi. I just went, I'll think about it. But I called him the next day and we were talking again. And I said, yeah, I would love to love to talk to Varun. We said, okay, let me talk to him and find out. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for someone of your caliber to come on my podcast and talk. And I wish you all the very best. May the universe give you the banquet of life in all its sweetness, brightness, and success always.
Subi is one of these people in my life that I cannot say a no to. So when he called me and he said, Varun, there's something like this, and would you like to do it? So I said, is that even a question?
Yeah.
I would love to do it. Just ask him. I'll figure the dates out. Not to worry.
So the way Subi abuses his relationship with you, I abuse my relationship with Subi 10 times more than that.
No, he's not one of those abusers, let me tell you.
I'm happy living that life, by the way, with him. So not a big deal. So
very kind of you to have even thought about me for this season finale of yours, and I wish you a bounty of success for all your podcasts and in life ahead. And let's catch up whenever you're here in Mumbai.
I will. I promise. I will.
And this time you're cooking for me. Remember that.
I'll cook a butter chicken recipe that I saw online.
No, I would love to eat a biryani your style whenever I'm in the country.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely, my
Stay
pleasure.
happy. Stay healthy. Thank you.
You take care. And lots of love. Thank you.